Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking on a topic that is literally dominating our news feeds, our workplaces, our group chats, pretty much everything. We're talking about artificial intelligence. But we aren't just going to look at what it can do. Nope, today we are going to completely strip away the magic trick and look at the actual raw mechanics. Let's demystify the technology that's completely reshaping our world.
Artificial intelligence isn't intelligent, at least not the way you think it is. Wow, that is a bold claim straight from our source material today. But honestly, it's the anchor for everything we're about to discuss. Think about it. We're deep into the AI revolution now. We type a prompt into a chat window, and a fully formed, incredibly articulate response types back out. It feels like we're talking to a human being, right? It feels conscious. But this quote hits the nail on the head regarding a fundamental misunderstanding we all share. Because the way you and I process thoughts is completely alien to what is actually happening inside those servers.
Which naturally brings us to the million-dollar question. So what is it actually doing? I mean, if there isn't a tiny hyper-intelligent brain sitting behind the chat window, how on earth is a machine capable of producing poetry, writing code, and passing medical exams? How does a system that seems so incredibly human-like actually function when you strip away that sleek user interface?
Well, to answer that, we're going to break this down into 5 quick steps. 1. The illusion of intelligence. 2. The 2017 Google accident. 3. Turning words into math. 4. Inside the transformer. And 5. Prediction versus comprehension. All right, part 1. The illusion of intelligence, and exactly why AI feels so human. You know, it's kind of wild to think about, but we are essentially 2 full years into the modern generative AI revolution. Tools like ChatGPT have been adopted faster than almost any technology in human history. We use them daily, yet the real mechanics remain completely hidden from the average user. And because the output is just so conversational, our brains naturally project humanity onto it. We just assume that because it speaks our language, it must understand our world. But actually, scratch that. That is entirely a projection. The truth of how AI works is totally obscured by its own eloquence. Let's move on and see how this builds in part 2, the 2017 Google accident, solving translation, birthing a revolution.
To really understand the machine, we absolutely have to understand its origin story. So, back in 2017, a group of researchers at Google weren't actually trying to build a super intelligent chatbot that could pass the bar exam. Not at all. They were just trying to fix basic language translation issues. They just wanted a better way to translate English to French without it sounding incredibly clunky and robotic. But in the process of trying to solve this highly specific translation problem, they accidentally, literally by accident, created the core underlying system that powers all modern AI today. A simple translation project birthed the revolution that, by 2025, completely dominates the tech world. So what exactly was that breakthrough? That takes us to part 3, turning words into math, the secret language of machines. Okay, the very first step in stripping away the magic of human language is understanding something called tokens. Tokens are essentially the fragmented pieces of words and text that the AI system actually reads. When you type, say, "Hello, how are you?" the AI doesn't see a friendly greeting. It chops those words up into little chunks. Sometimes it's a whole word, sometimes it's literally just a few letters. This is the raw material the machine actually digests. It's not reading, it's fragmenting. Now, what's really fascinating about this next phase is what happens to those fragments. Once the machine chops your sentence into tokens, it translates them entirely into mathematical numbers, and these are called vectors. The AI system literally only understands math. It doesn't understand English or Spanish or Python code for that matter. It understands huge lists of numbers, mapping the relationship between different tokens in this massive multidimensional mathematical space. So the word king and the word queen might have similar numbers assigned to them just because the machine's math shows they often appear in similar contexts. It's pure mathematics, cleverly disguised as vocabulary. Which brings us to the engine itself. Let's look at part 4, inside the transformer. The engine of the illusion. This is it. This is the exact architecture those Google researchers invented back in 2017, the transformer. It's literally the T in ChatGPT. The transformer is the underlying mathematical architecture of all modern AI. And I absolutely love the source materials analogy here. Think Autobots, but, math. Just like a transformer shifts from a car into a giant robot, this architecture takes a massive sequence of numbers, those vectors we were just talking about, weighs how important every single number is in relationship to every other number, and transforms them into a brand new sequence. It pays attention to the context of the numbers.
So here is the exact assembly line that happens under the hood the second you hit enter on a prompt. Step 1, your text is chopped into tokens. Step 2, those tokens are translated into pure math, the vectors. Step 3, the transformer processing engine churns through those numbers, calculating literally billions of mathematical relationships in mere milliseconds. And finally, step 4, next word prediction. Based on all that math, it spits out the single most statistically probable next token. Then it runs that whole factory line again for the word after that, and the word after that.
So the absolutely crucial point we need to land on is part 5, prediction, not comprehension, exposing the grand illusion. This is the massive aha moment we all need to walk away with today. GPT seems incredibly smart, but it actually has absolutely no idea what it is saying. It doesn't know what a dog is, it doesn't know what sadness feels like, it doesn't even know what a fact is. It only knows that when the mathematical vectors for the sky is are run through the transformer, the highest probability math equation results in the vector for the word blue. That's it. It is simply the world's most sophisticated math-driven autocomplete. And this brilliantly illustrates the divide between us and the machine. Human comprehension is about thinking, feeling, and truly understanding the underlying meaning of concepts and words. We have lived experiences. Machine prediction, on the other hand, is simply guessing the next word at a massive scale using math. It's a very convincing illusion of intelligence created by sheer scale and statistical probability. The machine isn't thinking, it is just calculating. Which leaves us with a pretty critical thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If the machine has absolutely no idea what it's saying, if it's completely devoid of actual comprehension and is merely running statistical probabilities on math vectors, how does that change the way you trust it? The next time you ask an AI for advice, to check some facts, or to do your work, just remember, you are talking to a calculator, not a consciousness. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.